Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. I just finished putting the chopped. This is going to sound so weird. So the exhaust went off. The limo went off to get an exhaust, and the custom exhaust did not turn out how I had asked. 3 different times I asked those guys to just a socket and a nut in here. I asked those guys. I went back and we marked stuff out where mufflers need to go, where resonators need to go, and all of that. And 2 months later, they couldn't do it. And then on my second to last trip there, after they had requested a heat shield, hang on, over the fuel lines, which I got heat shield. This is pretty standard stuff. This is just off a Ford, just aluminum heat shield that you find in an engine bay or underneath a car. Nothing major, but they want to protect the fuel lines, and I get that. You don't want to run exhaust next to the fuel lines because currently they run the exhaust right next to the airbag. The airbag gets hot, the airbag blows up, it fails. It's 70 miles an hour. I don't want that. You don't want that. Nobody does. So I said we need to run it more to the right, and they said that's too close to the fuel lines. And they said if you put a heat shield on the fuel lines, we can run it there. I'm like, okay, great. I'll make a heat shield. I'll come over. I'll put it on there. Like, well, you can't use our shop. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to drive it all the way back over here to put in 6 screws for a heat shield. I'll do it in the Sheetz parking lot, the gas station parking lot, and then I'll bring it right back to you guys. It's a block away. They're like, fine, no problem. So I go over there. I have all the tools, all the equipment, everything ready to put this heat shield on. I got ramps. I can ramp the car up, zip it on really quick, and then bring it right back to them so they can run the pipe right there. As they pulled the car around, they changed their mind and they said, we can't run the exhaust pipe there unless you move the fuel lines. They have to be moved to the other side of the gas tank. And I'm like, you guys, you just told me that I needed a heat shield. I brought over a heat shield to do that. Now you're telling me that I have to move hard lines for the fuel system. I can't do that. And you know what? We're done. I've been jacking around with this for 2 months. Yeah, there's been weather issues and I've been out of town and they had one of their techs lose fingers working on the garage door. There's always stuff that pops up. I get that. But when you start changing what you requested, that means you don't want to do the job anymore. And they're making it more and more difficult to get the job done. And I can't have this car sitting there hanging out in the breeze. So I say, screw it. Look, I'm going to pay you for parts. And we're done. I already gave you a deposit. You keep the deposit plus whatever for the crappy mufflers you put in that are not the right size. The 2 resonators, only one of them's in the correct position. So you know what? I'll pay you guys for the parts and we're done. And it's taken way too long to do something way too simple. And the exhaust is actually about 1 finger width away from the airbag. When it's fully deflated, it's less than a pinky away. When it's inflated, it's about maybe 1.5 fingers away, and they have heat wrap on it, and that's great, and that's fine, but it's going to burst that airbag. It's going to melt it. They said that's not a safety issue, that the fuel line's more of a safety issue. I'm like, you guys, you heat wrap it, you put a heat shield on there, nothing's going to touch it. And they're like, nope, we don't care. We can't do that. And I'm like, all right, give me the car. So I got to get in the car and I look at the Holley display, looking for, RPMs and making sure it's correct. And I'll bring it down and I'll try and show it to you guys because I want to start this up. I just tacked up. For some reason, they cut out 2 pieces of exhaust. That was the other problem. They did this as a single piece. So it's a gigantic 20-foot piece of exhaust that goes from the front of the car all the way down the middle here, up and over the diff, right next to the airbag. And then there's 2 huge mufflers here at the end. And this is all a single piece. There's no way to get it out without cutting it. And that was one of the things that we had talked about was we need a section in there where it can be band clamped and it can come apart if the exhaust needs to come off for any reason. we can go up and over the diff. And they were like, yeah, no problem. They never did that. What they did do is they cut off 2 sections about halfway down. You can kind of see them where the light is. I just welded those back up. I just did some quick and dirty welds. Nothing, this is not Kindig level welds, because this is going to get cut out and we are going to go up and over the diff away from the airbag with heat shielding and heat tape or heat wrap on the pipe over the diff where it's supposed to go. And we're also going to add a correct Y pipe back there, because all they did was run a pipe straight down and then tee it off. It's also off angle, and the 2 mufflers are at 2 different angles. One's at like 45 degrees, the other one's at like 10. They're not inboard from the roll pan, like they said. There's still the marks there for everything. And this resonator, this larger resonator, is supposed to go 4 inches back. They couldn't manage to do that either, and they actually butchered up the connector on the resonator pretty bad. That's what took me so long tonight, was to weld that off, because they cut it right at the bevel. And so now I have to weld from the casing of the resonator onto the pipe, and cleaning that all off and trying to get clean welds. It was very, very difficult. It was not easy to do that. So that took a lot longer. This just goes to show you, if you do it yourself, it's going to be right. That's the, I don't know if you want to call it the moral of the story, but that's where we're at here. And so I'm going to do this temporarily, because when I ran the car, it runs like crap when there's no back pressure, because everything falls out of the car. All the exhaust falls out. There's no, you need to have a little back pressure in there so that it kind of, it's hard to explain. It's something that's required. You can't just have this free-flowing engine unless you run different types of fuels and stuff like that. On regular 93, you got to have some kind of back pressure. So, whoops, come back here. No, come back here and go on there. Oh, is there something in there? Why wouldn't he go in? So I wanted to bring this down with you guys. We'll do a first start with it, with this exhaust on, so you can hear the difference. Before, it just sounded like gunfire. Excuse me. It sounded really bad. So give me a second to move the welder out of the way. What else? Oh, I got to put I have to zoom these clamps back up. So let me get this out of the way here. God, I swear I'm Batman. I can hook anything. By the way, if you're looking for a semi-professional welder, the Vulcan's awesome. I got this thing a few years ago. I absolutely love it. Is it a Miller? No. But it was designed by one of the guys who used to work at Lincoln. So it's actually a very, very good welder. And I know I shouldn't be welding in a hoodie, especially 6G overhead welding. I had a big chunk of burnt hair earlier. So yeah, let me zoom these guys back up. Then we'll bring the car down, and you guys can be here for the first start. So give me a couple minutes here. I have a nut and a washer. And I don't know where those 2 screws went, but we'll do this guy first. Whoa, at least to get him started. And you have all of this stuff in the way, which makes it very difficult. Okay. And they bent it, which adds to that difficulty. Now, Actually, they didn't bend it. The car bent it because they had this up on a rack, on a 4-post rack, and all they did was deflate the bags. What I have now is I have it completely off, and the wheels are not touching the ground, so the whole suspension is aired out, like all the way. And the exhaust is actually touching this trailing arm up here, and it's pulling this down. It's so funny. You cannot get to that on that side. So let me find the zoomer. And where did my other screws go? Are they in here? They are. Still in my pocket. A little magnet right there. Use these gigantic self-tappers. The exhaust hangers are nice. They're in the wrong place, but they're nice. All right. So I'm going to see if I can get this one in the back first. These other two should go. I have to use a universal joint for this because it is bent. Okay. And now the universal joint is actually stuck on there. Oh, come on. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, so that one's totally stripped out. So I don't know why they did both of those. So we will take that one and get him a little bit closer. Okay. So now we'll bring the car down and we'll start it up. If I can, I'll show you guys the screen and how bad it is. I don't know how they did that. At least they offered to buy a new one. God knows how long it's going to take to get here, but they did offer to buy a new one. If you haven't figured it out, this is brought to you by Rockstar. So bring the limo down. I got the 2 battery maintainers on. Those are the extension cords you see hanging here. And I'll crack the garage door and give it a start. We'll see what sorry. Those are the seals inside the cylinders for the lift. And they're lubricated. It's so dry here that those seals dry out and you continually lubricate them, but they still So yeah, it's kind of funny. They were about to put the exhaust where we finally had decided to do it after I put the heat shield in, because they had obviously cut that piece out that I just welded in tonight. So since they had cut that out, that means they were about to do it. And then something changed their mind. And this battery maintainer has failed. I don't know what's up with this battery. That Holly system pulls power, even though it shouldn't. So, all right. So, I'm just going to wipe this down quick. I'm gonna get some cleaner and wipe this down because it really looks terrible. So give me a second because it's in the back. Got some cleaner here. So I got my mic back. Here. It is really thick, and it's hard for that mic thing to go in there. So just kind of looks like crap. By the way, in this shop we use Jack's Wax stuff. If you're ever wondering, all the stuff we use: tire cleaner, wheel cleaner, body shine. I'm a fan of the Hawaiian because it smells really good. I like that smell. Super quick. All right. Go do the other side. Yeah, this is not like the Miata where you can do both sides from one side. I wish. This car is way too big for that. Way too big for that. That looks a little bit better. A little bit of dirt on here, and somehow I hooked my foot in there. I can, man. I'm like Batman. I can hook anything. The door cards are all filthy. Yeah, this is good. Outside stuff on it, you can tell. All right. So I'll try and show you guys the, this goes up here. And we'll put the Jack's Wax back together, or back over here, where he normally goes. So this is the Holly Sniper controller. Right here, this little screen. And you can kind of see a little black dot on it right now. I'll bring you guys over. And bring you down. So this is the Sniper screen. And I don't know if you can see that. There's a little black dot right here. What the hell is that? Where the hell did that come from? So we'll turn the car on, and we'll see. I'll show you guys how bad that screen is now. And the car ran like crap on the drive over here. It's about a half-hour drive from that shop to here. And the shop's going to remain nameless until further notice. You know, if those guys get saucy with anything, then we'll change. But until then, if you want to know who it is and where not to take your exhaust or vehicle, truck or car or whatever, then let me know. Send me a message. I'll let you know who not to take it to. So let me hop in here and turn the key, and you guys can see what's up with this thing. Question is, do the door poppers work? They do. Okay. Because our battery in the back is fully charged. Oh, wow. I don't like that kind. All right. So we have the sniper screen. You guys can see it there. I'm just going to turn the key on. I'll bring it up for you guys. You're going to hear the fuel pump kick on and a bunch of other stuff. So. There you go. That's what I got back. It should not have this huge black dot on it. Right there. So that's what I got back from them. It's actually kind of a double eclipse because you still have the one black spot back there. It says the battery's only at 6 volts, so the car's probably not going to start. So I think the trick with this, with the Holley system, is there's only 2 things hooked up to it. That's the cooling fans are directly to the battery, and the Holley. Those are the only 2 things. So we're probably going to have to do a battery disconnect with the Holley system on there, unless they tell me there's something that I'm missing. It's wired 100% correctly. Also, wiring that new controller in there is going to be a huge pain in the ass, because coming through the firewall, there's a very, very tiny hole, and I have to remove the rest of the wires in order to get that big connector through there. It's going to be a mess. These guys, they have no clue how much work they've actually caused me. Maybe I should just build them, right? I'm not even going to bother trying to start it without the boost box. It would be silly. So put the boost box in here. And powers up. There we go. All right, you guys are with me? Okay. Oh, let me crack the door, because it's going to be very exhausty. It's also very cold outside, so I don't want the door open very long. But I also don't want to die. So go around the far side here. Oh, wow. Get that little blast of cold. Now it says the battery's at 11.5. All right. You ready? Here we go. It is having a very tough time. I have no idea what's going on. All right. Well, there it is. It's idling. It is not idling very well. It is running out of voltage. That's it. It runs out of voltage, and that's why the car's turning off. You can hear how quiet it isn't, even though the request was for quiet. There are two resonators and two big mufflers on it. Yeah, when it has voltage, it runs great. And for some reason, idle air control is all the way open. Yeah, for some reason, we can't keep voltage. For some reason, we can't keep voltage, and that's why the car keeps dying. It's trying to run just off battery, and not off battery. Thankfully, an alternator. So we also have an idle air control issue. This belt is tight, and I know this alternator works. Our radiator is working. Our power steering needs fluid, but the car runs, the car drives. You can hear how loud it still is, which is not optimal. It needs to be a lot less loud. But when you take your car to a shop that is getting discounts from a manufacturer, they will use those manufacturer parts before they use actual correct parts, because they're going to get them cheaper and their margins higher. So that's why I have these huge suitcase MagnaFlows back there that don't fit, because they get a deal on MagnaFlow mufflers versus the correct ones that would actually fit and be quiet. These MagnaFlows don't fit, and they're made to be loud. They're not made to be quiet. So double fail on that. They don't fit, and they're too loud. Resonators, I'm not sure they do anything. I really don't think they do anything. So, still a very loud car, and big box of disappointment from those guys. I didn't think I would be picking up that much disappointment, but I definitely got it from them. So, and they were recommended by a friend of mine who's a huge car guy. He said, "Yeah, they're great." And all right, let's see how great they are. and wow, we found out. The only good side is it's not backfiring, and it doesn't sound like gunfire anymore, which is good. And that's kind of a quarter of the way. Um, so we're going to keep going on this. We're going to use this for the time being. We'll get that pipe up over the diff. We'll protect the fuel lines. We'll get it away from the airbag. That's going to be one of the tests. I'll probably drive it and do a lap tomorrow, get everything warm and to temperature, come back in, and then feel that pipe and see how close it gets to that airbag. Because even 20 minutes will tell me if it's too much. I'm going to swap out this battery too. I have another battery over there that's ready to go. So I'm going to swap it out, and I think that's going to be part of our problem. And for some reason, our IAC, our idle air control, is, I don't know. I'm guessing that's going to be part of the problem with the controller being messed up. I think that big black splotch is adjusting stuff that it shouldn't be adjusting. And obviously I can't see it, so I don't know if it's touching something or running something up and down. But once I get the battery fixed, I'll know that it's just that controller, because everything else worked great until they touched it. So that's where we are on the limo. Runs and drives. Right now it's a daytime only car. I'll get that grill chopped up probably tomorrow and get it fit in there so that it looks really nice. And then this thing's going to go get painted. So we're kind of excited to get paint on this thing, because it'll run and drive. I'll get a tarp for the body shop so they can tarp it off and park it outside, and it should be okay. And then it's power for the hot tub. That's the last thing left, and we'll have this thing ready to go. So thanks everyone for stopping by tonight and watching the restart of this with the new crappy exhaust. If you have any questions, comments, anything, definitely post them below, and I'm happy to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We got a ton more stuff coming in. We got Scott's GTI. We got Miata stuff. We got the Ariel Atom's going to come in here tomorrow. We're doing all new fluids on the V8 Ariel Atom from Top Gear. We've got I got to do new pads and rotors on the Viper. As much as I don't want to, I do. And then we've got a ton of stuff, MR6 stuff, so race car stuff and more crazy car stuff. So definitely join. And like I said, if you want to stop by the shop, you're welcome to. Send me a message. I'll give you an address. You can cruise by one night and hang out with us. It's usually a lot of fun. And if there's something you want to see on a specific car, let me know. We'll see if we can get it over here and get that taken care of. For now, I'm going to try and not be high from the fumes from this. Oh God. And it runs so rich. We'll call it a night for the limo. I'll get the battery swapped, and that'll be that. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Spread the word. That'd be awesome too. Feel free to link this in social media and stuff. And don't forget to show someone that you love them today, okay? Give me a kiss on the cheek. Give me a kiss on the nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's important for them, but it's more important for you, okay? All right. Thanks, everyone. We will talk to you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll do some cool stuff here in the shop tomorrow. Thanks.